Good to have this material.
Hi, Thea. Okay. Hi everyone, just for the notes on the Connect with the Chamber, we are about to present, meet the team at Border-Kei. I'm just waiting to let some people in to our room so we can chat. So almost afternoon. I see Ian McKay's on board, Sia. Hi Sia, how are you?
Hi, Samantha. I'm all right. Good. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. How are you doing?
We good. So far, so good. Just cold.
Thank you.
I see Melinda Berger's also on. Hi, Melinda. Is this Johan? Okay, just some Zoom etiquette while we are waiting. We've got a minute or so just to go through some Zoom etiquette. Guys, just so that you know, we do appreciate everyone's comments and your queries. So we would appreciate it for now if everyone is muted. We will definitely chat away and have a Q&A session or query session afterwards. We're looking forward to everything that's coming through from this session. There is a chat box midway on your Zoom platform at the bottom. You can put in a message on that as well if you need to chat away, if there's anything of interest. There will be RSVPs, I'm sure, from upcoming events or the future events that we will be housing. If you need to, you can always just email it through to members@bkcob.co.za. There is a raise your hand option. If anybody would like to raise your hand while one of our presenters are on board, you're more than welcome to raise your hand and we can try and assist with your query. All right, it's time to start. We are on board with Connect with the Chamber. I'm hoping everyone can hear us loud and clear. Thank you for joining us today to meet our team at the Border-Kei Chamber of Business. We are very excited on having our team present today. And we would like to obviously thank all of you for being with us in advance and listening to our journeys. So from no further ado, we'll hand over to our Executive Director, Les Holbrook.
Colleagues, good morning all, and it's good to see our president online as well. Good morning, John.
Morning, everybody.
I think it's appropriate that I show my face. It's not much of a face to look at, but and certainly, colleagues, I don't know about you, but apart from putting on a lot of weight, I've also grown a lot of hair. So it hasn't grown in the places I would have wanted it to. So I need what we refer to in the old days as when you were a schoolboy, as short back and short sides and back. So, colleagues, today what we want to try and do is share a bit about the chamber, share a bit about who we are and what we do. So, doing the numbers this morning with the session that we had with our energy forum this morning, I was looking at how many days we've been in lockdown, and it's actually 83 days. So 83 days is quite a while, and it's given us a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges and a lot of compelling reasons as to how and why we need to amend and adjust the way that we function. Welcome to all those who have come on a little bit later on, so welcome to you. So it's Les Holbrook here, and I'm the Executive Director of the Border-Kei Chamber of Business. I've been here a couple of years. I think that I wouldn't say I've earned my stripes, but certainly I've walked a long way to get my stripes. And in our way, in the way in which we function in the chamber, is we continue to structure ourselves along key strategic lines. My job, and my colleagues will come in afterwards, is to try and account to the executive committee as to how we function, what we do, account for the funding and the revenue that comes into the chamber, and also as to how we spend it. So in terms of my job, it's quite a complicated, and it comes across as quite a multi-challenge job, in the sense that we represent 580 members. So we have 500 members who are companies. They are not individuals, they are companies. And in that, we probably represent around about 74,000 jobs or positions. That's quite a large stakeholder representation. We are very proud of what we have done in 143 years of our existence. Neither John nor I started the chamber. So the chamber was started in 1877. And in that time, we've obviously evolved. Things have changed in what we do. And we are very clearly going into a new period of how we evolve, and obviously to try and adapt to the new norm, as we would call it. So when we started with the lockdown on the 27th of March, clearly lockdown meant lockdown. So our first task as chamber was to try and make sure that everybody in the chamber, all the staff that we have, and you will meet them as we go along, were connectable, were able to speak from home, obviously had the required technology to be able to match the challenge. We use Zoom as a platform, and obviously, as you've seen, we do also offer Microsoft Teams, but we prefer Zoom, notwithstanding some of the challenges that exist within Zoom at the moment. So having all worked from home, one of the challenges we had was, what do we do and how do we account? We're so long, all of a sudden not available, and we can't work from home. So it's been difficult for us to adapt. But my team will share with you some of the things that they've been talking about. So for us, initially, what we were doing was looking for information that we could share with our members. Clearly, the information needed to be relevant. It spoke around the regulations and the various phases within the lockdown. And most importantly, it spoke to some of the financial support and assistance programs that government were offering. So suddenly our website went to small amounts of information to huge packages with substantial information around how you can apply for TERS, UIF, unemployment insurance, and so we still do that. Nothing has changed from that point of view. If you look on our website, even today, you will find the latest regulations. And that's all thanks to our communications expert, Yanga Zabile. How do we engage colleagues? Certainly one of my jobs at the moment is to sit on the various command centers, as they refer to them, joint operation centers. And there are three that we function on. We function on the command center in Kamani, which Audrey Bartis sits on and certainly makes her presence known. And then I sit on two command centers. The one is the Joint Operations Command Center for Buffalo City Metro, and then I also sit on the Economic Task Team for the provincial government. And it's in these command centers and task teams where we represent business, where we speak about some of the day-to-day issues and challenges. We certainly do talk about whether or not companies have been able to receive and to apply for funding, and also some of the issues that are confronting members who are being slapped on the wrist for not meeting requirements of COVID. So it's interesting to go around and to find out from companies whether or not they are COVID ready and COVID compliant. So, for example, and I'm not going to ask you to put up your hands, is do you have a COVID business plan? Also, have you an appointed COVID business officer? Is somebody like Sia, for example, have you appointed somebody in your organization to take responsibility for COVID? So just following on from that, some of the areas where we've also been trying to advise our members is to how do we respond in the various levels at which we are finding ourselves in. And for those of you who listened to the president last night, and bless him, but I think his reader was challenging him. I saw the president sweating at one stage. But the president gave us some good news, and that's good news, particularly for the restaurant sector and for the hairdressers. So I personally can't wait for my hairdresser to come back so that I can troop off and go and get a haircut. John, I think that maybe you also probably wanting to get along to your hairdresser. So I've been quite a good boy. I haven't broken the rules. I've stayed pretty much between home and work and made sure that we are assisting our members with the compliance and with the new regulations. So you'll find on our website today the new regulations, and certainly they should be able to help you. So how are we doing things and doing things differently? One of the examples of the challenges that come to us as Chamber is, some might know, some might not know, is a pretty big challenge for our biggest corporate member, Mercedes-Benz, is just before lockdown, and you know the national government gave us all a week to get our house in order. So for Mercedes-Benz, they sent all their expatriate technical staff back home. Back home could mean North America, it could mean Canada, it could mean Germany, it could mean the Netherlands. So now Mercedes-Benz want all these people back. However, the regulations are not allowing them. And so Mercedes-Benz are sitting with an amount of something like 34, 35 key technical personnel or expatriates that one can refer to that they want back in East London. We are trying to assist with the diplomatic and protocols to get those people. And then we have to find an aircraft that will fly from Germany to East London and from their respective countries of origin. One of the other things, and it's the most recent one, colleagues, is the Buffalo City, the Integrated Development Plan. And how do we respond to that? The Integrated Development Plan is the 3-year overview for the metro, for them to give to themselves particularly, but also to all the stakeholders in the metro as to what and how we plan to grow, develop, and obviously take the city forward. So colleagues, I'm going to wrap up here, but let me just also say to you this, in terms of the Integrated Development Plan, is if you feel that you would like to comment on it, or if you'd like to know a little bit more, give myself or Drayton Brown. Drayton will come on shortly after me. Give us a ring or give us an email, and we'll see if we can accommodate perhaps some of the key points that you would like to see on the IDP. So from my side, colleagues, if you've got any questions, please save them until last, but I'd be happy to help you. It's not too difficult to talk for 5 minutes. In fact, I think I've exceeded my 5 minutes. So with no further ado, I want to hand over to Drayton Brown. Drayton is the project manager for Invest Buffalo City. And Drayton is a very, very proud, I think proud, Chamber supporter. So he's also a good go-to guy, and he assists me particularly with a lot of the areas where we see overflow. So Drayton's a lot younger than me. He certainly doesn't have the challenges around needing a haircut. And I'm hoping that you'll welcome Drayton. So let me pass over to Drayton.
Thanks very much, Les. Morning, colleagues. So what I decided to do today was, instead of joining the session virtually, I'll actually come into the office and have a chat. So as Les said, I am a project manager here at the Chamber. My program is called Invest Buffalo City. Live, Work, Play, Invest is our tagline. And so my role within the Chamber is about specific projects, but also, as Les mentioned, some spillover. So 2 of the main things that we're looking at the moment is the IDP input, which I'm working on right now, and I'll be meeting with one of our executives later, Mr. Teresa Naidu, to actually go over our IDP input. I'm also part of the Enterprise Development Task Team within Buffalo City, which has been set up to look at what's happening within the economic and social space within the city due to COVID-19. So on the one hand, we know that businesses have been massively impacted by the pandemic, but the big question is, what are we going to do about it? And what are we as a chamber going to do about it? I think there's a real opportunity for us to be part of not just what has happened in the past and what's going to happen going forward, but what can we do that's innovative within the city? And what can we do to drive economic development, both for large and small businesses, to start employing more people, getting that economic development going again within the city. So that's currently what we're looking at with Buffalo City. So within Invest Buffalo City, it's quite a broad mandate. The first project we have is called the Call to Action, which was established, I'd say, late 2016, early 2017, which is about cleaning up the city, making sure it looks good, both from a tourism perspective as well as from a living and working in our environment, which is directly linked to the mandate of Invest Buffalo City. We have a number of partners in that project. It was driven by the chamber from the get-go. We are looking for the model is we're looking at establishing 4 mini buyback centers around Buffalo City, which will be able to receive recyclables from anyone, and you will be paid for those recyclables. So it does a number of things. It incentivizes recycling. It also incentivizes the categorization of your recyclables so that you can bring clean recyclables into the hub. Another project we were working on is agriculture and looking at the agricultural value chain. So we call the project the Emerging Farmer Commercialization Initiative, which is quite a mouthful, but basically looking at emerging farmers and then helping them go from subsistence or very micro scale to commercialization by assisting them with their cold chain, by bringing in other partners, assisting them to establish the market offtakes that they need to get the funding, and helping them with that whole value chain, getting the system is called Freshmark to ensure that anyone who is paid along that value chain, there's nothing underhanded that happens and everything is just above board. The third initiative was the Enterprise Europe Network, which, because we required national government support on this one, has taken a little bit slower than we had anticipated. So the EEN is the largest network of SMMEs in Europe, and we're called a Section 7 country, which means that we can form part of that network. We just need quite a large number of stakeholders to come together. But what that would eventually enable us to do is have direct access to SMMEs, universities. We can have joint ventures with European companies, which will then open up the opportunity for our SMEs to collaborate, work with, supply European countries. I think particularly now with the Brexit, there's a huge opportunity for our companies to get involved in those supply chains. The fourth is looking at schools within East London, Buffalo City. So our biggest problem is that we have got very good schools. It's not a problem. We have great schools. The problem is that they're all full. So if investors want to come and invest in the city and they have kids, or if they relocate from one part of the country to East London and they bring their staff, where do those staff kids go to school? So, we've looked at a number of different models. Currently, the one that looks most successful is having either a low-cost private school in Mdansani, or having it's a hub and spoke model where we have a public-private partnership within Mdansani to have a very, very good school, which will then support its neighboring schools to ensure that all the schools within that district improve. I think they say that a rising tide floats all boats. So that it's not just about targeting one specific school and creating any kind of elitism, but it's about improving the education within the community. And then another project is looking at the business process outsourcing sector, it's also called the global business services sector. CVS, which is basically the contact center industry. So we've established BKCOB Eastern Cape. BKCOB is the national association that looks at the contact center industry. And so there have been a number of initiatives nationally, a number of associations in the Western Cape and KZN and Gauteng, and they have got very big contact center industry. They employ hundreds of thousands of people. And I think we have one in East London, and we may have about 3 or 4 in Port Elizabeth. So what does this sector do? It, number one, it exports jobs. So people sitting here, as an example, in East London are working for international companies, which means that the revenue that those companies receive is a foreign exchange, which helps out our country. It also creates a huge opportunity for more jobs. Something that has really, this sector has really been affected by the pandemic, in that it has had to become quite innovative. There's now some new work-at-home models, which has required the deployment of a lot of technology into the space, which I think is good. So now companies within the sector they can either have their fixed infrastructure, or they can have a stay-at-home model, and it looks like some of them will have a mixed approach, because if you go one way or the other, there are inherent risks in both. So they're looking at the middle of the road. And then the last thing I'm looking at, is SMME development and support. So we are a chamber of commerce, and yes, we can have SMMEs as part of our membership base, and they get access to the networking functions and all the great things that we're doing. But what about those companies that can't afford a membership? Number one. Number two, as a chamber, we don't have the financial muscle to directly impact the sector. And so the only thing we really can do is leverage our network. So what we've done is we've partnered with CEDA to pay for their clients to become members. And what that does, that it then enables those clients to get access to our networks, to networking functions, to be able to meet corporates and the like, to grow their businesses. So that's a model we're looking at possibly scaling. Say, if we can find funders to fund SMMEs to get access to our network to grow their business, that might be a new model we could look at going forward. Something I toyed with for a short while was creating a Eastern Cape venture capital business within the chamber, but the financial reserves that we require is quite high for that one. And so it's something we put on the back burner to look at, in the future. And then the last one is intellectual property commercialization. So how do we diversify the type of businesses we have in the Eastern Cape? And so what we find is there's a lot of companies that are clustered together. So maybe a lot of companies want to do, used car sales or stationery supply. Where are those innovative companies that can become unicorns and get lots of venture capital money, that can employ a lot of people, and they can grow and scale quite quickly? And the only way we can really find those types of businesses is to work with universities and look at the type of intellectual property that is generated within universities. But the problem with that is that universities are generally not spaces for business. They create the IP, intellectual property, and then it either sits on the professor's shelf, or it goes to a very young student who then struggles to get access to funding or get access to information and the like. So what we looked at is creating partnerships between our network, our members, and this intellectual property that's created by universities. And so that's going quite well. And I'm now part of the Walter Sisulu University Seed Funding Adjudication Committee. So we look at different intellectual property, where they are on the innovation scale, and how to get them along quite quickly. That's pretty much it for me. I think I may have gone over my time. So now I'd just like to chat about the next colleague, who is younger Ziwele. So Youngest actually got quite a good story. He used to be my intern a long time ago. I think it must have been 2016 or so. Younger, you can just comment and confirm that. And so what happened is we had a vacancy at the chamber, and we looked at how it's not just about going to the market and finding someone. It's also about how do we do, number one, develop talent internally, and then second, how do we retain that talent? Because as I mentioned earlier, it's very difficult to have these with our budget constraints. Talent retention is quite difficult. So when we do have these up and coming youngsters through our internship program, how do we retain them? And so when we had a vacancy, we said, let's look at that talent pool first before we go to the market. And so Younger was luckily available at the time. And so quite quickly, he started in the one type of role, and now he's kind of grown and doing all sorts of things within communication and driving our social media and driving our online content, which is fantastic. So I think at that, Younger, I'll just hand over to you, and then you can take over. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Dre. Can everybody hear me? Am I audible? Great. As Dre has said, my name is Yanga Ziwele. I am the Marketing and Communications Coordinator. Started last year, and as Dre has mentioned, I was an intern. Between 2016 and 2017, my internship ended in 2017, so I was the communications intern. Fast forward to 2019, I was back at the chamber in the role of marketing and communications coordinator. So basically what I do at the chamber is I manage the website, the sending out of the weekly newsletter, social media, and I also write and proofread our quarterly publication, the Business Highlight magazine. A huge part of my role involves sharing information about our events and programs, as well as like any other external information which could be useful to members and business at large. For example, information about available business support systems, government programs, and as Les said, we were very, sorry? As Les said, we were very useful, reliable outlet of information during lockdown, and basically just making sure that business have like all the necessary information through our weekly newsletter and the website, and also our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So that's part of what I do. The second thing is the magazine, the Business Highlight. It is published 4 times a year, and each one of our 4 editions are themed around certain topics which are relevant to businesses at that specific time of the year. We have recently published our first online edition because we've stopped printing at the moment because of the whole COVID-19 crisis. So the magazine basically has multiple columns with a lot of content. Most of it is sourced from our members, from business consultants, human resource management, property, law, information and technology. The magazine is a great platform to showcase our members and to provide insight on all these different topics. We also encourage members to send us their stories, milestones, anniversaries, and any other events which they think are newsworthy that they would like to share with their peers in business, because we distribute the magazine. Well, before lockdown, we distributed the magazine to about like 3.5 businesses all across the provinces, and also shared the magazine digitally via the Business Highlight website. And the magazine is also a great platform for advertising. And since we've gone digital, we offer discounted advertising rates. So anyone that's interested in you know, putting their business out there to fellow business members and also like the general business community, you can get in touch with me and can send you the rates. We are currently on our second edition. The one that's out is our second edition for the year. And we will start working on the September edition, which will be our third edition of this year. And I think I've pretty much covered what I do at the chamber. So social media, website, newsletter, the magazine, and always looking forward to collaborating with members. A lot of people have shared with me what they are doing currently, like during lockdown, in terms of special services that they're offering or like discount for fellow chamber members. We share all of that via our newsletter. So if you are interested in being a part of any of that, you can drop me an email to marketing@bkcob.co.za. Thank you so much, Sam. That will be all from me.
Hi, John. Do you have any?
Next up is Sam Long.
Do you have any comments, John? Thanks, Janga. That was great. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was actually on the chat busy sharing the link to the Business Highlight magazine. So if you look on the chat, there's the link over there to find the latest Highlight magazine and some of our previous ones as well. But other than that, we have a fantastic team that's been working for us very, very hard, especially during this very trying time of the pandemic. It's been awesome to see how Younger has taken over our social media, the reins over there, and has been leading from the forefront. Younger, very well done on that. He's made the chamber very proud. And with the communications between yourself and Samantha and the whole team has been really, really good. It's makes a person very, very happy and proud to be part of this team. Yeah, and then obviously from my side, just it's nice to see a couple of new names online, and I hope to see you guys again for our AGM as well, especially, and in future meetings, and possibly once the pandemic is over, we'll all meet in person again.
Great. Thanks, John. Guys, for myself, I just want to introduce, obviously, for who I am and what I do at Border-Kei. So for my history in my career and environments, I've got over 18 years of casino industry behind us, from Southern Sun International through to Soho Sun. So we've had quite a bit of customer service and entertainment through our years of service delivery and expectation. Joining the chamber has been a great way of encompassing everything that I've been involved with in the past to understand service delivery to members, going forward into memberships, events, sponsorships or partnerships. You're looking at everything from CSR to any charity drive that we could possibly assist with. We're just going to touch a little bit on memberships. We look for new members all the time. It's a case of being involved, knowing what's out there, knowing your community, and how can everyone assist and help. So the chamber does just that. We're here to assist and help where needed and drive where possible. When we look for new members, there's not a hell of a lot of criteria that you need to follow or be a part of. Just maybe look at your business structure. If you're business to business, if you're registered, you should be a part of this bigger picture of the chamber. So we've got membership forms. There's a yearly sub fee to pay, and if you're interested, anybody new on this call, if you're interested in knowing further what to do or how to get involved, you can also email through, and we will direct all our queries to the right person. We have a lot of benefits when it comes to members. There are things from visibility to credibility to networking to understanding one's events to how to make it work for your business. It's also the case of how to get involved when you connect with other business. So we've got networking events. We normally have 6 nighttime events, but obviously on hold at this stage until we allowed to get out of COVID and interact on a larger scale of participation levels. But when it comes to events, we look at sponsorships here as well. There's a lot of companies that connect and drive through possible projects in that whole sphere of connecting. So yeah, sponsorships, prizes, you name it, we game. If you've got anything that you need to be assisted with, we help on those lines as well. We've got a lot of events on hold, but a lot of change has happened when it comes to COVID. We've done quite a bit of new and insightful ways of doing business. So you're looking at your virtual avenues as well as membership detail. So when we do virtual avenues, we're doing a lot of Zoom criteria where you've got Zoom Connect with the chamber. We've got Business Connect avenues, which is like your business at the hub. There's a lot of those kind of avenues as well. Then I'm just trying to think of everything. There's so many things that we like involved with. But in a nutshell, I think it works well when you've got all these events that tie together. So at the end of the year, we're also looking at housing our annual dinner. Our annual dinner is on hold at the moment, but we will be able to publish that sooner than anyone can know, because the dates will be released and then we'll be out and about. Yeah, Les is reminding me about the golf days. We have like a mid-year golf day, which we want to plan, as well as our year-end golf day. So at the end of the year, we'll also house that. And hopefully we'll all be on the golf course playing golf together. Okay, there are so many things that we can get involved with, but in a nutshell, we have mentioned the Highlight magazine and the Business Bites and quite a few avenues of marketing. So if anyone's interested in learning about marketing avenues, we can house that further on email. Trying to think if there was anything else. I'm sure that's pretty much in a nutshell what we've covered. But yeah, maybe what I can do is introduce my next lady, because if we can try and tie in all the worlds of the chamber and how far we reach, we've got Kamani as well. So Queenstown Drive on the house is hosted by Audrey Bartis. So Audrey will be talking about her facilities and all her criteria to what she does in Queenstown. Yeah, so pretty much, Audrey, I'd like to introduce you to the floor. My right-hand girl from Queenstown.
Hi, everyone. Sam, you ready?
Yes, go for it.
Hi, everyone. Nice and cold in Queenstown. My name is Audrey Bartis. I know my team likes calling me Adri, and it's not Adri, it's Audrey. But I only forgive them for doing that. A bit of my background, I have been working in the NGO environment for 19 years. I am qualified as a human resources manager and project manager in construction. And then currently I am on my 3rd year LLB through UNISA. We're quite busy on the side. The Queenstown office is very small, but we've got quite a lot of programs that we are currently housing. We have a very close relationship with the municipality, although it can become quite frustrating. And we've got both the local and the district municipality here. So whenever there's an issue that affects not only the business community, but the community here in Queenstown as a whole, we have to make sure that we are pretty hands-on. Our biggest issues here is service delivery. So potholes, that's about the size of your car, constant electricity issues. I see some of my SMMEs are here. We've got quite a vibrant SMME group here in Queenstown, and we started a SMME program 2 years ago to assist small, medium, micro enterprises, and also linked up with Boston College so that they can have a more certified course. Then with the district municipality, they've had water issues, so we were paramount in getting the Tonka Dam up and running. And whenever there's issues within the municipality, our office is unfortunately the first one that gets called for any issue, because the municipality is not known to answer their phones to assist with any of the problems. It's not that they are not working, it's just that, you know, sometimes the wheels on your car turns a little bit slow and it needs assistance. And in this case, Queenstown Chamber has been with the municipality since 2016 that we've been working with them. From the office side, I've been with Chamber now for this is my 4th year. But prior to that, I've had a 2-year run as the chairman of the Chamber for Komani. So I was the chairman of Komani, and then when we saw that things weren't really working out in the office with some of the stuff that we've had, and they only worked half day and we needed people to be a bit more hands-on, I was asked to assist and then take over the chamber on this side. So we've been working with the community. The business community is very active here, to a point where if there is a part or material that is needed, we can always go to them to assist the municipality with the parts here. The issues that we are having is that you don't always have the municipal leaders wanting to engage with the business community, because it's seen as if we are taking over, which is not what we want to do. I think if there's anything we don't want to do is to take over the municipality in any form. But we've had to be working with him. We had to be very strict with him as well, especially during this COVID time. It took us about 4 weeks before we had the community up and running, you know, in terms of the municipality sitting down for a job meeting or just engaging with the business sector so that we could understand what the issues were, so that we could be a bit more hands-on with them. There's still a lot of issues with regards to businesses that are non-compliant. I'm very concerned with the extra levels that are opening, although it's very good for the business sector and for the economy to open them. But with the current state of affairs in Komani, where the businesses are non-compliant, and SEPS is not very hands-on to ensure that people are doing what they are supposed to be doing. And there's also not a very good relationship with SEPS and the municipality on this side. We are concerned in terms of compliance that we are going to have more issues. The district here, Chris Hani, is known as a hotspot. So to have all these additional things come in and people not being non-compliant, we are very worried what this epidemic is going to do to Komani. But we're taking it slow. We're trying to make sure that people are compliant. We try to be as hands-on as possible. And yeah, I think what's really important here is how we engage with the various sectors, from the small to the macro business sectors, and then just to ensure that we have people comply as much as humanly possible. The municipality is unfortunately struggling with their own compliance. Today, we've had the traffic department, for instance, closing due to staff that has been found positive as well, and that has been an ongoing issue. And it's not something that people go out to look for, but you want people to be a bit more, you know, careful with the way that they are doing things. And the lack of PPE is not assisting the municipalities here at all. But yeah, so that is all from my side. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand over to Sam so that she can introduce Sinclair and Ushma then as well. Samantha, you okay?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you.
Okay, so guys, we've also got a secretariat on board. Her name is Sinclair Kuntu, as well as a finance department, which is Ushma Lala. So on those two entries, we've got Sinclair, who's involved with quite a few projects, and she does a bit of coordination on every sphere. So if there's an ad hoc function, she grabs the opportunity and runs with it. She's also very much a big drive in all our charity work that we are involved with. So she lies heavily on like getting in touch with, even now for Ripple for Change, Childline, EC, we've got Breath of Life. So there are a few charities that we are direct, you know, in contact with on their projects. Sinclair also does certificates of origin for import-export. So that keeps her really, really busy. She is quite diverse on that aspect too, getting through quite a few certificates on a daily basis, keeps her going. And then when we look at our finance department with Ushma, Ushma is our true accountant, and she runs with everything that she does with great compliance. There's a lot going on in her world as well, with statements and memberships, and even the Highlight magazine goes through Ushma. And we're currently in an audit for the chamber. So this audit is also keeping everyone on their toes and making sure that we are on our own side of compliance, making sure that everything's okay and good to go on business. So having that, the team is very much like a NCIS team. We have all a unique profile, a unique place. And I know Audrey has just finished her chat, but Audrey is definitely our right-hand girl for Queenstown. She is really direct and forthcoming. She's approachable on many aspects, as much as what the team in East London is. We're all here to assist. So if there is any need or any assistance required, you know who to contact. Your chamber is the best place to be. I'm going to pass the floor back to Les, just to have a closure session, and then what we'll do is we'll open the floor to any queries or any RSVPs or anything that would be at your heart or forefall. All right.
So colleagues, please bear with us shifting the device around. We thought it would be easier rather than having 6 people in the office with each one with their own device. We've shared the device. Yes, what we've done is we've tried to share with you who we are and what we do. I think it was President Kennedy in the 1960s who said, and it was a lovely statement which we like to borrow often, is ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And similarly in the chamber is one of the ways in which we claim to be the voice of business is we engage with professionals. So within the chamber, we have a structure of working groups and committees who are professionals and business people with specific interest and operational activity. So we have a tourism committee, we have an infrastructure committee, we have an operations and marketing committee, we have energy committee, we have sports committee, we have meat committee, which is not for some people who think meat as in nyama, but it's actually manufacturing, economic affairs and trade. So each of these committees, there are 7 within the chamber. It comprises of over 110 business people. So why aren't you on that committee? So my question to you simply is that would you like to help the chamber? So at all times, we invite people to come in and sit on these various working groups. And if you need to know a little bit more about them, the person who coordinates all that activity is Zintle, whom Sam mentioned earlier. And so we would like to invite members to either share their issues and see how we can collaborate. And in the case of Mercedes-Benz, in this case, where we can help them to repatriate their expatriates back to South Africa, or how we can represent your interest on the integrated development plan. So roll up your sleeves, come and get involved. And there are many ways that we can use you. If you're in any one of those specific areas that I've mentioned earlier, or something different, we would love to be able to talk to you. We'd love to hear from you and hear from you what are those issues. So I'm going to now, for a moment, seal and zip my mouth. I'm going to open the floor to anybody who would like to ask a few questions. Remember, colleagues, at the bottom of your screen, there's an opportunity to raise your hand. I'm going to ask you if you would like to do it at this stage. Raise your hand. You have a reasonably fair-sized panel that we will try and answer your questions. So let's hear from you. And if you're not raising your hand, we don't mind if you just come in straight away. So if, for example, if Lorna would like to make a comment, come in now. If Ian, who's been, I might add, colleagues, Ian McKay, who's on the panel this morning, has been a very, very strong supporter of Chambers projects. And he was one of the lead individuals to drive the call to action program through his involvement with his employer, have been very proactive in supporting that activity. So I'm always very appreciative of all the colleagues who support and help and who bring sanity to what it is that the Chamber does. So the decisions we make, colleagues, in the Chamber are not all ours. They are made by people who voluntarily give of their time, just as our President does, and the working groups and the executive of the committee. So if you thought, ladies and gentlemen, that we are an association who have a fairly loose mandate, we have a very broad mandate, and the mandate is governed and controlled by all those individual volunteers and people who sit on the various committees. I'm accountable to them all. I have one boss, but I report to about 120 people. That's easy. I just manage it so easily. So anybody else? I'm not seeing hands, colleagues. If you can't raise your hand, you're invited to speak up. If there's anything you'd like to ask questions on some of the points on the presentations that were made. And thank you to all those who have participated. We do have various programs. Sam is going to wrap up just now just to talk about 3 or 4 of the additional projects and initiatives that are coming up. We have to somehow, colleagues, find a way of engaging with you. We are trying desperately to find a substitute for networking. We all miss our bi-monthly networking, where we were entertaining at any one stage between 140 and 160 business people. That's now been taken away, and so we have to find a different way to engage with you. We do have programs. Look at our event package on the website and just see where and how you can engage with us. So if there are any questions, I'm going to leave it just open. I have one hand up from Sia. Thank you, Sia. Would you like to go ahead?
Thank you very much, Les. I think what I'm commenting on is the fact that you mentioned that there's a COVID-19 template business plan, for which I think it will help me big time, because I was wondering how will I tackle that issue, because one of my clients said actually asked for it, but they were not forcefully in terms of getting that plan from us. So I think it's one aspect that I got as value for me when you mentioned earlier on.
Right, Sia, absolutely. We have a plan, a template, which we would be happy to send you. So please drop me an email. My email address is very simple. It's les, at BKCOB. That's BKCOB, all lowercase, for Border-Kei Chamber of Business.co.za. Drop me a note. I will ask Drayton to send you a template which you can copy and paste, put your name and the name of your company in that, as well as obviously how it is that you can structure yourselves to be compliant. We're happy to help you. So don't forget to send me an email of request. Thank you, Sia. Colleagues, anybody else? And that applies to anybody that's online with us today. If you do need any assistance with your COVID readiness or compliance, please drop us a note. We'll be able to help you. Right, I'm not seeing any more hands. If anybody's hand is, I'm not recognizing anybody's hand, please speak up now. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up, colleagues. Okay, so maybe what I'd like to do is, just before I run off, is to ask if the session has been of any value to you. If you have found it informative, what we're trying to do is we're also trying to motivate our members. We want our members to get as much assistance as possible. I often say to certainly our companies that, for example, we tender. So if you're in the business of tendering or seeking contracts with government, don't be shy to ask the Chamber for a certificate of good standing. Quite often, some of the departments in provincial government require from you whether or not you are members of a professional association. The Border-Kei Chamber of Business qualifies as a professional association, and you therefore can ask us for a letter of recognition or a letter of support. Right, let's hear from you. Hopefully we've helped you. There are many other things that we are doing. Stay in touch and obviously follow what we do, both in terms of virtual as well as what we do on our social media. So many thanks to everybody. To President John, thanks for being online. Thanks for supporting us. And again, to my colleagues in the chamber, thanks for your input, colleagues, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everyone, and greetings to all of you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Audrey's looking really